This is definitely one of the first things that I would recommend purchasing as soon as you get your brand new Tesla Model S. You just bought a brand new, very expensive car and it looks absolutely amazing inside, and you want to try to keep it that way. Now, I know how hard it is to find a really good set of all-weather floor mats for your brand new car because I went through probably about 3 or 4 different reviews for our Tesla Model 3 before we finally settled on a set that we really liked. So today we're going to be taking a look at TESMANIA's all-weather floor mat set for the 2023 Tesla Model S refresh. So I am going to be going over the build quality. We're going to see how well they fit and look inside the car, and then we're going to see how easy it is to clean. So let's get started. Now, when you first get these in the mail, they may be all folded up and kind of not wanting to lay flat. All you need to do is simply install them in your car or let them lay out in the sun for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and they should eventually relax. So I let mine probably sit out in the sun for about 30 minutes, and as you can see, they've returned to their original form. Now, as far as the build quality goes, it does seem like they're very well constructed. They do have kind of like a rubbery feel on the inside, but it's more on the kind of harder plasticky rubber. They're also not very heavy. They are kind of thin, but I definitely do think that they're going to do a perfect job keeping your car nice and clean. So the very first thing you want to do is to remove the floor mats that are already in your car. Then for the front seat installation, make sure you have the seats pushed all the way back. These floor mats also have some Velcro placed all around the mat to help keep it in place as well. All right, and then we'll install the driver's seat first. Make sure those go underneath the pedals, and then just press this in place. Looks really nice so far. Then we'll put in the passenger seat. Then we'll install the frunk protector. Just kind of presses down into place. Now, if you're wondering about the smell, the rubber does have a very slight smell to it. It's not overpowering. The only reason I think I smell it now is because it's been sitting in the sun. Then we'll put in our rear trunk mat. Now, the nice thing about this mat is it does have a little cutout, so you can still lift up the little hidden compartment underneath the hatch. And it kind of has a little fold in the center here to make that a little easier too. This also has a side compartment cover as well, and it also has the little cutout so you can still pull up the side compartment if you need to, but it's not that easy. It wants to pull up the whole thing. So most likely you're just gonna have to pull up the little piece and then you can open up your compartment very easily. Now we're going to put in the rear floor protector. Just make sure that you move your front seats all the way forward to make your installation much easier. These floor mats are perfectly fitted for this car. The other really nice thing about these floor mats is when you move your seat all the way forward, it doesn't get caught on the floor mat. Now let's take a look at the mats all installed. These mats look absolutely amazing and they fit perfectly. The thing I love most about these floor mats is the fact that they have a nice deep well. So if anything gets inside like dirt, snow, water, it's going to stay inside the floor mat and not get all over your carpet. I also love the fact that the whole footrest is totally covered because some of the other floor mats out there only cover half of that. It also goes all the way up behind the pedals as well. So now I'm going to get in the car and we're going to see if the floor mats stay in place when you're moving your feet around. And as you can see, the floor mats do move all over the place. The little Velcro pieces that are stuck onto the floor mats don't seem to be holding on at all. But on the bright side, when you are stepping on the mat, your shoes don't just slide around, they actually provide some pretty good grip. Now we're going to test out the passenger side floor mat, and as you can see, it still has a little bit of movement, but it doesn't move around nearly as much as the driver's side. And then lastly, we're going to test out the rear seat floor mats. And as you can see, these mats are pretty much set in place and don't move around at all. Now we're going to see what happens when we get these floor mats nice and dirty. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with some dry dirt. I'm also going to step all over it to get the mat nice and dirty. This will kind of simulate day-to-day use, because not every day is a rainy day. Then I'm going to empty out the mat without using any water to clean it, just to see what it looks like. And I actually think it looks pretty good for the amount of dirt that I dumped on it and from stepping all over it. Now let's move on to the wet mud situation. I'm going to totally saturate this whole floor mat to kind of give you an idea of what abuse you can put this through and what it will look like once you've cleaned it off. And even when I tip the floor mat forward a little bit so you can get a better look, you can see that mostly all of the mud stays within the floor mat. Then again, I'm going to step all over it to simulate day-to-day use and make sure it's getting ground into the floor mat. Then I'm going to wash off the floor mats really well using only water so we can get a good sense of what it really takes to get these clean. Then I'm going to dry it off really well so we can see what it actually looks like when it's dry. All in all, I think the floor mats did really well considering what torture we put it through, and they came out looking pretty much brand new. Having the driver's side floor mat move around so much was really bothering me, and I wanted to find a solution that was cheap and easy. So last night I ended up going to Home Depot and getting this. It's a rug traction roll. Now you don't have to get this exact brand, just make sure whatever you're using has one sticky side and one rubber side, because the rubber side is what's going to go against the floor of your car. You want to make sure that it's not sticky on both sides because that might ruin your carpet. This does stick onto the floor mat pretty well, but there are portions that are already starting to come up, like this little piece here, that are already kind of losing its stickiness. But like I said before, for the most part it does stick down, but only time will tell how well this is going to work because heat will definitely have an effect on the stickiness. Ideally, if you could find something similar to this but with a much stickier back, that would definitely be ideal. I installed it back in the car, and as you can see, the floor mat doesn't move nearly as much as it did before, even though it does still have a slight bit of movement. So for me, these floor mats checked every box for what I was looking for in an all-weather floor mat. One was definitely the price, and you really can't beat these because it comes with a whole set for around $150. Secondly was the fit. I wanted to make sure that these floor mats fit the car perfectly. 3, I also wanted to make sure that they had a nice deep well, because if you have a very shallow well, if the floor mat gets wet, water can still get all over your carpet, and these definitely checked off that checkbox. I also wanted a floor mat that totally covered the footrest, because if your feet are all wet and you put your foot up on the rest and it only covers half of it, water can get behind it and get all moldy. Now the one thing I think could have been a little better was the fact that it didn't stay in place very well, but as you saw, you can remedy that fairly cheaply and it doesn't take a lot of time to do. And like I mentioned before, for the price, I definitely think it's worth a little bit of trouble. And I'm also not being sponsored for this video. I purchased these floor mats for myself. I just simply wanted to put this video out there for everybody to know how good the floor mats actually are and how well they work. So I would definitely recommend these floor mats. They get the job done, they look great, and they're not gonna break the bank. And if you guys want to pick them up yourself, I will be putting a product linked in the video description. If you guys enjoyed the video and you found it helpful, it would really help out the channel if you gave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.